The arrival. The human stranger. The twin moons of planet Cyril glowed in the night sky. The land was quiet, covered in silver light, and the air was warm. At the center of the shining city of Zelvar stood the royal arena. Tonight, it was full. Thousands of alien nobles and warriors sat on crystal benches, their glowing eyes locked on the large battle stage below. Queen Zelara, ruler of Zurel, sat on her throne, tall and proud. Her skin shimmered like liquid gold, and her eyes burned like stars. Beside her stood Gortan, her strongest champion. He was a mountain of muscle covered in thick red armor and holding a giant energy blade. No one had defeated him in 5 years. He was the pride of the queen. Tonight, though, something was different. A small silver ship had landed outside the city gates. The guards expected a team of soldiers, maybe a group of alien visitors, but only one figure stepped out. Tall, human, dressed in black and gray armor. He carried no flag, no army, just a simple sword on his back and a strange calm in his eyes. His name was Captain Riker. He walked through the gates like he belonged there. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't speak much. The guards tried to stop him, but within seconds they were lying on the ground. Not dead, just unconscious. Silent. Quick. When Queen Zelara heard about him, she laughed softly. "Let him in," she said. "If he wants attention, he shall have it." And so Riker was brought to the royal arena. The crowd fell silent when he entered. A single human standing in the center of a battlefield meant for monsters. He looked around with sharp eyes, measuring every angle, every shadow. Queen Zelara leaned forward, amused. "You come to my world without respect. Who are you?" Riker looked up at her. "I'm just a traveler," he said. "But I've heard stories that your champion is unbeatable." The queen smiled coldly. "You believe you can change that?" "Let's find out," Riker replied. The crowd laughed, but it was nervous laughter. Something about this human felt strange. He wasn't loud or proud like other challengers. He was quiet, dangerous. Gortan stepped forward, his heavy boots shaking the ground. He pointed his blade at Riker. "I will make your death quick," he growled. Riker simply nodded. "Thanks." The horn blew. The match began. Gortan roared and charged forward, swinging his massive blade. The air cracked with power. Riker moved only when needed, ducking, sliding, turning, not wasting a single motion. The crowd gasped. No one had ever dodged Gortan's strikes like this, and then in one flash it was over. Riker stepped in, drew his blade, and with a smooth, fast motion, sliced through Gortan's armor. The champion froze. A second later, his body fell to the ground, cleanly split in two. Silence. No one moved. No one breathed. Queen Zelara stood up, her eyes wide. Not in anger, not in fear. In curiosity. "You," she whispered. Riker looked up at her again. His sword dripped with blue alien blood. "I didn't come to kill. He gave me no choice." Guards rushed forward, but the queen raised her hand. "No," she said. "Let him speak." The arena stayed silent as Riker slowly sheathed his sword. Zelara stepped down from her throne and walked toward him. The guards looked uneasy, but didn't stop her. She stood before him, tall and regal. "You are not just a traveler," she said. "You are a warrior." "I've fought many battles," Riker replied. "But you didn't celebrate his death. Why?" Riker's voice was quiet. "I don't fight to win. I fight to survive." The queen looked at him, searching his face. Then she did something no one expected. She smiled. "You split my champion in two," she said softly. "And yet, you interest me," the crowd whispered. This had never happened before. "What will you do now?" she asked. Riker looked around. "I don't know," he said. "Depends on what you do." Zelara's smile deepened. "Then let's see what happens next, human stranger." She turned, her golden cloak flowing behind her, and walked back to her throne. Riker stood alone, in the arena, but he didn't feel alone. He could feel eyes on him. Not just curious, some jealous, some afraid. Something had changed tonight. The Queen had seen a new kind of power, and she was not finished with him yet. The offer. More than peace. The sky above Zirel turned dark red the next morning. In the royal city, everyone was still talking about the human. A stranger, a killer, a warrior. No one had ever defeated Queen Zelara's champion, and he did it with one strike. But what truly shocked the people was what happened after the fight. Queen Zelara did not punish the human. She invited him to her palace. Inside the shining black towers of the royal palace, Riker stood quietly. He had been given clean robes, food, and water. No one had chained him, no one dared. The maids watched him from the shadows. They whispered among themselves. Who is this human? Why does the Queen protect him? But Riker wasn't confused. He had seen this before on other worlds. Power respects power. Suddenly, the door to his chamber opened. 2 tall female guards entered, followed by the Queen's first maid, Saren. Her silver skin glowed under the firelight and her eyes were sharp. "The Queen is waiting," she said. Riker nodded and followed them through long halls made of crystal and stone. They reached a massive room at the top of the palace. Large windows showed the burning red skies and the twin moons. The room was silent, and at the center sat Queen Zelara on a seat of dark metal and bone. She looked at Riker, her face calm but unreadable. "Sit," she said softly. He did. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the Queen leaned forward. "Do you know what you've done?" she asked. "I killed your champion," Riker answered. "You did more than that," she said. "You changed the balance of this world. You made me look weak. Some see you as an enemy. Some see you as a weapon." Riker didn't reply. He had been used before. By governments, by warlords, by kings. "I'm not anyone's weapon," he said simply. Zelara smiled. "That's why you're useful." The doors opened again. 3 women entered, dressed in royal colors. They were her personal maids, trained spies, fighters, and advisors. Their faces were beautiful but cold like statues. "These are my trusted ones," the Queen said. "If I had enemies, they would already be dead." The tallest maid, Lina, stepped forward. "We watched your fight. We studied your movements. You are dangerous." "Thank you," Riker said. Saren, the first maid, looked him in the eyes. "You are not just strong, you are fast. Precise. You fight like someone who has lost too much." Riker looked away. They were right. He had lost everything once. His planet, his team, his purpose. Zelara stood up. "You defeated Gortan," she said. "So by our law you are owed a reward." "I don't want gold," Riker said. "I know," she replied. "That's not what I'm offering." She walked to him, slowly like a hunter circling prey. Then she said the words that shocked even her maids. "I offer you me and them." The room went silent. Even the wind outside paused. "What?" Riker asked. Zelara's voice remained calm. "You are not from this galaxy. Your body, your mind, your DNA, it is powerful. I want that power. For my people." "You want me to breed?" Riker asked bluntly. "Yes," the Queen said without shame. "We are not weak women. We are not slaves. But we are smart. Your strength, combined with our design, could make something new. A future for Zirel." Riker stood up, his eyes narrow. "So you don't want peace, you want control." Zelara tilted her head. "Don't all rulers?" Riker laughed once, darkly. "And what if I say no?" "Then you are free to leave," she said. "But you will be hunted, not by me, but by those who now fear you." He paused. It was a clever trap. She wasn't threatening him, but she was showing him that power attracts enemies. "You think I'll agree just to survive?" he said. "No," she replied. "I think you'll agree because you're tired of being alone." That sentence hit deeper than he expected. The room was quiet again. Riker looked at the 3 maids. They didn't seem afraid. They didn't even look angry. They looked curious. Interested, Saren finally spoke again. "We're not prisoners in this. The Queen asked us before making the offer. We choose this too." Riker felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about desire, or strength, or survival. This was about legacy. But still, something was wrong. Riker's instincts, sharp from years of battle, whispered a warning. This was too smooth, too perfect. "What aren't you telling me?" he asked. The Queen didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the edge of the room, looking out at the sky. "This world is dying," she said. "Slowly. The suns grow hotter each year. My people grow weaker. And soon we will be forgotten." She turned back. "But you could be the fire that lights a new path." He didn't move, didn't speak. He felt the storm building behind her words, and in that silence, the door behind him closed, locked. He was not a guest anymore. He was a key, and the Queen was going to use him one way or another. The bond, not just flesh. The palace was silent, too silent. Captain Riker stood inside the Queen's private chamber, surrounded by smooth walls of alien stone. The tall windows were shut, the heavy door behind him sealed. Outside, 2 royal guards stood like statues. Their armor shimmered and their weapons were ready. He wasn't a guest anymore. He was inside a cage, a golden one. But Riker didn't panic. His breath was steady. His fingers twitched only slightly by his side. He was calculating, watching, waiting. Just hours ago, Queen Zelara had offered him herself and her 3 most trusted maids, not as slaves, not for pleasure alone. She offered them to him as the foundation of a new species. Riker had heard many strange offers in his life. But this was new. And it didn't feel right. He sat near a circular table made of dark glass. On it were alien fruits, meats, and drinks, tempting but untouched. His instincts told him to stay alert. Then, the door inside the chamber opened slowly. It was Saren, the Queen's first maid. She walked in quietly and closed the door behind her. "You haven't eaten," she said. Riker's eyes didn't leave hers. "Never eat when you're uncertain of the cook." She gave a small smile. "Smart but foolish. This is not poison. It is pressure. The Queen is watching how you react." Riker stood. "Then let her watch. I'm not here to be studied like a lab rat." Saren tilted her head. "Aren't you? From the moment you stepped on this world, you became more than a man. You became an opportunity." She moved closer, her silver skin glowing under the soft lights. "Why are you here, Saren?" Riker asked. "Not with the Queen. Not with the others." She hesitated for a moment. Then she whispered, "Because I believe you're in danger." Riker narrowed his eyes. "From Zelara?" "Yes," Saren said, "and from something even older." She stepped to the window and touched the glass. This world, it wasn't always like this. Zerel was once ruled by a king, powerful, cruel, obsessed with war. He forced the queens to breed with warriors from across the stars. He wanted the perfect army, and the Queen, she is his daughter. Riker said nothing, but the room suddenly felt colder. "Zelara hides her pain well," Saren continued. "She says she wants to save her people. Maybe she does. But part of her still hears her father's voice." "So you think she's using me?" Riker said. "She is using you," Saren replied. "But she may not even know it herself." Riker leaned forward. "Then why are you warning me?" Saren turned and met his eyes. "Because I've watched you. I've studied you. And I see something in you the Queen does not." "What?" "Hope." For a second, neither of them spoke. Then Saren reached into her robe and handed Riker a small device. It looked like a crystal shard glowing faintly. "If you want to leave this palace," she said, This will open one hidden path through the lower tunnels. You'll have only one chance. Riker took the shard but didn't move. Why are you helping me escape? Saren's voice was softer now. Because I don't want a new empire born in chains. And because I don't want to be part of another mistake. Before Riker could answer, the door opened again. This time, it was Queen Zelara. She entered like a storm. Elegant, cold, powerful. Saren, she said. Leave us. Saren bowed without argument and slipped away. Zelara walked across the room and stood before Riker. Her golden eyes locked onto his. She told you something, the Queen said. Riker didn't answer. Do not mistake her silence for truth, Zelara warned. My people are dying. I will do what is needed to save them. Even if it means lying to yourself? Riker asked. For the first time, the Queen's mask cracked. She turned away, looking out over the burning sky. I had no choice, she said quietly. My father. He bred war into my blood. Every day I fight that voice. I want to be better. Riker walked to her slowly. Then stop using people, he said. Talk to them. She looked back at him, and something in her face changed. Softer, tired. You confuse me, Riker. I've met killers, kings, conquerors. You are none of those, and yet you frighten me. He stepped closer. Because I remind you what power could be, not what it has always been. The silence between them was no longer cold. It was warm, real. But that warmth was short-lived. Suddenly the entire palace shook. An explosion. Distant, but strong. Alarms blared through the halls. Zelara's calm broke. What was that? Guards stormed in. One shouted, Attack on the outer walls, unknown ships descending. Riker stepped back, his instincts kicking in. Someone knew I was here. Zelara turned to him. Are they your people? He shook his head. No, but they may be looking for me or for you. In the chaos, Riker slipped the crystal shard into his belt. Saren appeared again, breathless. We need to move. Now. Zelara hesitated. You trust him more than me? Saren looked between them. I trust choices, let him make his own. Riker turned to the Queen. You want a future? He said. Then stop controlling people. Start fighting beside them. Zelara didn't answer, but she nodded once. Together, they ran toward the hidden path below the palace. Outside, fire fell from the sky. Enemies were coming. But inside this palace, something stronger had just begun. Not a war, not a romance, a bond. The secret. A queen's true face. The underground passage smelled of metal and burning dust. Riker moved fast, his boots echoing in the tight tunnel. Behind him, Queen Zelara and Saren followed. Red warning lights blinked on the walls, casting shadows across their faces. Above them, explosions shook the palace. Someone was attacking Zirel, and they weren't here to talk. Zelara gritted, her teeth as another blast rocked the ground. Those ships, they're not from any known system. Riker didn't answer. He was thinking, calculating. He knew this kind of strategy. Sudden strike, deep target, full destruction. Whoever was up there didn't just want the city, they wanted the Queen. Or worse, what the Queen had hidden. They reached a large circular vault at the tunnel's end. The door was old, covered in strange alien symbols. Riker turned to Saren. What is this? Saren glanced at the Queen, then said, This is where the real story begins. Zelara stepped forward, raised her hand and placed her palm on the glowing lock. The door opened with a deep mechanical groan. Inside was a massive chamber, cold, silent, filled with tanks of glowing blue liquid, and inside each tank floated creatures, human-like, alien-blooded, hybrids. Riker froze. His body went still. What is this? He asked. Zelara walked slowly past the tanks. This was my father's project, long ago before I ruled. He collected warriors from across the galaxy, humans especially, their DNA, their memories, their combat skills. Saren spoke next. These beings were made in secret, grown, tested, discarded. Your kind was the most successful. Your biology adapted faster than any other. Riker looked at one of the tanks. The being inside had features like his, eyes like his, but it wasn't human, not anymore. So all of this, your offer, your interest in me, it was never about me, he said coldly. It was about my blood. Zelara turned to him sharply. At first, yes. Riker stepped back, fists clenched. You said you wanted a future, he snapped. But you're still playing your father's game. Zelara's voice shook slightly. I tried to shut this down. I destroyed most of the records, but the truth is, the project lives inside the palace's bones. My people are weak, Riker. Without new strength, we won't survive the next cycle of our sun. So you want to create life. By stealing it, he said. She looked at him. No, not anymore. I want to create life. With you. By choice. Not control, but Riker's heart was pounding. This place, it felt wrong. You brought me here to show me this, he asked. I brought you here, Saren said carefully, because someone else knows about it too. Someone who plans to use it. Zelara stepped closer. The attack above, it's not just a raid. It's a recovery mission. They want the hybrid army. They want to finish what my father started. Riker's eyes narrowed. Who? Saren's voice was like ice. His name is Varkan, a warlord from the Outer Ring, exiled years ago. He was one of your father's followers, she said, glancing at the Queen. And he wants these tanks, these lives, to build a force that cannot die. Suddenly, the floor shook again. A piece of the ceiling cracked and fell. Zelara moved toward a control panel and slammed her hand on it. We can't let Varkan reach this chamber. The tanks began to lower into the ground. I'm burying them, she said. They'll be sealed under miles of rock. No one, not even me, will reach them again. Riker stared at her. So now you choose to destroy them? Zelara looked him in the eyes. No, I choose us. If you walk out of here with me, this legacy ends. If you don't, this chamber becomes your grave. For the first time, Riker saw something real in her eyes. Pain, regret, strength. She meant it, but it wasn't over yet. A loud mechanical whine echoed down the tunnel behind them. Someone was coming. Heavy boots, armored steps. Then from the dark, they appeared black-armored soldiers, eyes glowing red. And behind them, a tall figure in silver armor with a half-metal face. Varkan. Hello, daughter of the king, he said coldly. And hello, human weapon. Zelara stepped forward. You're too late. Varkan laughed. Am I? I don't need the tanks. I just need him. He pointed at Riker. His body carries what I need. The perfect code. The perfect mind. Riker drew his blade. You're welcome to try, he said. The room exploded into chaos. The Queen threw up a shield. Riker launched forward, slicing through one guard, ducking under another shot. Saren grabbed a blaster and fired, covering the Queen's flank. Varkan moved fast, faster than expected. Enhanced. He grabbed Riker by the throat, slamming him into a wall. You think you're special? He growled. You're just another tool. Another seed. Riker kicked off the wall, twisted, and stabbed Varkan in the side. I've been called worse, he spat. Zelara launched a surge of energy, blasting Varkan across the chamber. The Queen, the Maid, and the human stood side by side, wounded but alive. Alarms flashed. The tank sank fully into the ground. Sealed. Zelara looked at Riker. You're the first man I've met who made me want to end the cycle, not continue it. Riker nodded. Then let's break it, together. As explosions rocked the lower tunnels, they turned toward the emergency shaft and climbed toward the surface, toward fire, sky, and war. Behind them, the lab faded into darkness, and deep below, the past was buried. For now. The escape. Run. From the royal bed. The sun of Zirel was rising, but the city was burning. Black smoke poured from the sky palace. Alien ships hovered above like metal vultures. Energy blasts lit the air. Sirens echoed across the streets. Civilians screamed, soldiers bled. And deep inside the tower, Riker, Queen Zilara, and Saren climbed through a narrow maintenance shaft, one floor at a time, covered in dust, blood, and smoke. "Keep going," Riker growled, pushing a metal hatch open. "We can't stop now." Zilara was breathing hard. Her royal armor was cracked. Her golden eyes, once proud and calm, now burned with rage. Her world was under attack, her secrets exposed, and her enemies were inside her house. But worst of all, she was not sure who to trust anymore. They climbed out into a dark corridor. A flickering light above revealed half-destroyed walls. Bodies of her guards, dead or unconscious, lay across the floor. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Saren picked up a blaster from a fallen warrior. "This isn't just a raid," she said. They knew exactly where to strike. These were elite positions. Zilara's jaw tightened. Traitors. Someone inside the palace helped them. Riker looked around. "And I bet they're still here." Suddenly, boom! A blast shook the hallway. Part of the ceiling collapsed behind them. Rubble sealed the shaft they came through. "No turning back," Riker muttered. They moved through the royal wing, the heart of the palace, and the most dangerous part. This place wasn't just for politics and power. It was where Zilara lived, where she slept, where she had once offered Riker herself and her 3 maids. Now it felt like a trap. "This way," Zilara said, pushing open the chamber doors. The Queen's private quarters had been destroyed. Her large royal bed was flipped, the room torn apart by explosions. Broken glass covered the floor. Weapons crates were smashed open. But something was missing. "Where are the other 2 maids?" Riker asked. Zilara's eyes scanned the room. "Lina and Visa, they were stationed here." Saren stepped forward. Her voice shook. "They're gone." Riker didn't like this. "Were they taken? Or they left?" Saren whispered. "On purpose." Before anyone could respond, a screen on the wall activated. Static. Then a face appeared. Varkan. His silver eye gleamed. Behind him, 2 women stood silently. Lina, Visa, alive, and standing at his side. "Hello again," Varkan said calmly. "Don't look so surprised, Queen. Loyalty is such a fragile thing, especially when promises of power are louder than promises of peace." Zilara stepped forward. "You poisoned them." "No," Varkan replied. "You ignored them. You loved your first maid. You wanted the human, and they saw it, felt it." His voice turned colder. "Now they serve me, and soon, so will." He looked directly at Riker. "You're already changing, human, can't you feel it? The Queen's chambers, her food, her air, all designed to weaken your will, unlock your genes." Riker's hand slowly went to his side. His skin was hot. His pulse, faster than before. Was it true? Had he already been altered? Zilara looked at him, her eyes full of sudden guilt. "Riker, I didn't authorize anything, not after I met you." "But someone did," Saren said. Varkan smiled. "There's more of your blood in this palace than you think, Riker." The screen shut off. The silence was sharp. Zilara stepped closer to Riker. "You have to believe me." He looked at her, breathing heavily. "Do I have a choice?" Before she could answer, an explosion tore through the far wall. Enemy soldiers stormed in, blasters raised. Saren shoved the Queen down, fired 2 clean shots. Riker grabbed a broken energy spear and charged forward, slicing through the lead attacker. The room turned into chaos again, blood on silk sheets, fire on royal walls. The royal bedchamber had become a war zone. In the middle of it all, Riker fought like a storm. But something felt different now. He was moving faster, his reflexes sharper. He dodged, struck, spun, like his body knew what was coming before it happened. He could feel the change Varkan spoke of. Whatever was happening inside him, it was growing. After the last soldier dropped, the three of them stood in the ruins. Riker's chest was rising and falling fast. "I'm not the same," he said, staring at his hands. Zelara nodded slowly. "The palace. It has changed you." "Can it be reversed?" he asked. Saren answered before the queen could. "No, but you can still choose who you are." They moved quickly. The escape tunnels beneath the queen's bed led through an old armory. As they descended, they passed relics of old wars, blades made from the bones of fallen kings, blasters that fired sunlight, ancient royal armor that hadn't seen battle in centuries. Zelara stopped at one glowing wall. She pressed her palm. Hidden door slid open. Behind it was a ship, not a warship, not a transport, something else, a prototype, sleek, quiet, fast. "It's yours now," she said to Riker. "Take it. Leave if you want. You've earned it." He looked at her surprised. "You're letting me go?" Zelara stepped close. "I've made too many mistakes trying to hold power. If you stay, it must be your choice." Riker looked at the ship, then back at her. "What about Varkan?" Saren spoke. "He's not done. He has your blood data. He has your image. He's building copies." Zelara added, "And he won't stop until the galaxy is his, with you, or without you." Riker stepped toward the ship, hand on the ramp, then stopped. "Then we don't run." The two women looked at him. "We hunt. The return." He chose to come back. Space. Silent. Endless. Cold. In the dark void between stars, Riker sat alone inside the Queen's hidden prototype ship. It was sleek, fast, and nearly invisible, built for escape, now used for war. His hands gripped the controls, but his mind was far away. Behind him, Zyril burned. He had escaped. He had survived. He had changed. The ship's systems were quiet, but Riker could hear his own pulse, louder now, faster than it should be. Every hour, his body felt less human. Stronger, yes. Faster, but also unfamiliar. His skin healed too fast. His vision sharpened in the dark. His strength had doubled since he left the palace. Varkan was right. He was changing, but not into something Varkan controlled, not into something Zelara had planned. No, Riker would choose what he became. He would not be a weapon. Not again. He pressed a button on the console. The screen lit up. A message waited. From Earth Command. Captain Riker, your mission is complete. Do not return to Zyril. Disengage and report to Safe Sector Delta. He stared at the message for a long time. You still don't get it, he muttered. Earth Command wanted him to leave, to erase the mess and pretend it never happened. But Riker had seen the truth. Zyril was just the beginning. Varkan didn't want to rule one world. He wanted them all. And Riker had one thing Varkan didn't. A conscience. He reached to the screen and deleted the message. 3 days later, a hidden moon near the edge of Varkan's space. A massive fortress ship floated in orbit, black as oil, armed to the teeth. Deep inside, Varkan stood in front of a large genetic tank. The liquid glowed red. Inside it floated a figure, tall, muscular, calm-faced, an exact copy of Riker. Varkan smiled. Perfection, not just his body, but his instincts, his memories. Behind him, Lina and Visa watched, silent, loyal. The clone will be ready in 12 hours, Visa said. Good, Varkan replied. Then the galaxy will finally understand power. And if the real Riker returns? Lina asked. Varkan laughed. He ran. He won't return. He's broken. But Varkan was wrong, because at that exact moment, far above the fortress moon, a single cloaked ship entered orbit, undetected. Inside, Riker stood. He had come back. Flashback. 3 hours ago. Queen Zelara stared at Riker as he reappeared, at the secret rebel camp in the asteroid belt. Her expression was a mix of shock and something softer. "You came back?" she said quietly. "Yeah," Riker replied. "Not because of orders, not for glory, because someone has to end this." Saren stepped beside her. "Then let's end it together." They weren't alone. In the shadows of the asteroid caves, others had gathered. Rogue soldiers, disgraced generals, exiled nobles, and outcast scientists, all loyal to Zelara's vision of peace, not her father's nightmare. Riker stood in front of them all. "Varkan has my face now," he said. "But that's all he has. He doesn't have my heart. He doesn't have my choices. We strike at his lab, destroy his clone army, and end this. Not with domination, but with fire." He looked at Zelara. "Are you with me?" She stepped forward. "Not behind you, not in front. With you, present moment." Inside Varkan's fortress, Riker moved like a shadow through the lower halls, silent, alone. He had landed his ship on the dark side of the moon, snuck in through a maintenance shaft. No alarms, no noise. He didn't need an army. He needed a chance. Every hallway he passed was filled with memories, twisted versions of things he'd seen in the Queen's lab. Tanks, machines, mutation chambers. He passed a room with dozens of partial clones. Failed attempts to copy him. Some were deformed, others were still alive, twitching in pain. He closed the door, his jaw tight. Varkan was not a leader. He was a monster. Finally, Riker reached the core chamber. There it was. The tank. The copy. Varkan stood at the console, smiling like a man who thought he'd already won. "You returned," he said calmly. Riker stepped out of the shadows. "I told you I'd come back." Varkan turned to him, eyes gleaming. "You're too late. The clone is ready, and soon 1,000 more will follow." "Then I'll end this now," they charged. Varkan struck first, fast, strong, augmented, enhanced with stolen tech and bioweapons. Riker blocked with his blade, sparks flying. Every punch shook the ground. Every move was life or death. This wasn't just a fight between two men. It was a fight between two futures. Above them, the tank hissed. The clone inside began to stir. Varkan grinned. "Even if you kill me, he'll rise." Riker activated a hidden charge from his belt, placed it on the tank. Beeping. "Ready. Then he dies with you," Riker said. The fight exploded again. Varkan slammed him into the wall. Riker hit back with brutal speed. Blood flew. Bones cracked. Then, a flash of gold. Zelara appeared from the side corridor, firing a blast straight into Varkan's back. He staggered, roaring in pain. Saren came next, shooting 2 guards who had entered behind her. "You're not alone anymore," Zelara said. Varkan screamed in rage. "Traitors, all of you!" Riker looked at him, blood on his face, fire in his eyes. "We're not traitors," he said. "We're done being used." And with one final blow, he slammed Varkan to the ground, unmoving. Then boom, the charge on the tank exploded. Fire, smoke, broken glass. The clone, gone. The nightmare, ended. Zelara stepped beside Riker, her face cut, bruised, but proud. "It's over," she said. Riker looked at her. "Not yet." Hours later, the fortress burned behind them. The rebels left no trace. On the edge of space, Riker stood on the bridge of his ship. Beside him stood Zelara and Saren. Behind them, a new future waited. No clones, no empires, no control, just choices. Zelara turned to him. "What now?" Riker smiled for the first time in days. "We start something new." The throne. He didn't take her body. He took her heart. The stars outside the ship were quiet, distant, peaceful. But inside Riker's mind, a storm still raged. He stood alone in the command deck of the prototype starcruiser, staring at the fading red glow of the planet Sirel, far behind them. The war was over, the enemy defeated, Varkan dead, his clone army destroyed. But what now? What came after victory? Behind him, the door opened with a soft hiss. Queen Zelara entered, dressed no longer in armor, but in deep, royal robes, light and flowing like wind over water. Her golden eyes met his. "We're returning to Zirel," she said. He nodded. "I thought we left it behind." "You left as a stranger," she replied. "Now you return as something more." Riker looked away. "I'm not sure what I am anymore." She stepped closer. "You are not a king. You're not my soldier. You're not a god." She paused. "You're just a man. And that's why you matter." 2 days later, royal city of Zelvar, rebuilt Zirel, was not dead. Its towers still stood, though scorched. Its people still breathed, though bruised. And when Riker stepped off the ship beside Queen Zelara, they cheered, not out of fear, not out of command, but from something rare: respect. Children ran beside him. Old warriors bowed. Citizens threw light flowers on the road. The human, once a stranger, now a legend, he should have felt proud. But something still pulled at him from deep inside. That night the palace held a gathering. No throne, no weapons, no politics. Just light, music, and life. Saren stood beside Riker, handing him a cup of Zirelian nectar. "You saved this place," she said. "Whether you believe it or not. I didn't do it alone." "True," she smiled. "But you're the reason the Queen changed." Riker looked toward Zelara, who stood across the garden under silver moonlight, speaking to survivors, comforting children, listening like a ruler. And a mother. Saren's voice lowered. "Do you know what she did before you returned?" she asked. "What?" "She dissolved the breeding council, burned the genetic archives, erased her father's name from the high tower." Riker was silent. "For the first time," Saren whispered, "Zirel is free." Later, the Queen's private garden Zelara stood alone under the starlight, hands behind her back. She heard his steps before he even spoke. "You don't sleep much, do you?" Riker asked. "Neither do you." He joined her. They stood quietly, side by side. "I don't know what comes next," Riker said. "I was built to survive wars, not to live after them." Zelara smiled faintly. "And I was raised to lead armies, not build peace." "We're both broken," Riker said. She turned to him. "No, we're not broken, we're just beginning." He looked at her. "What are you asking, Zelara?" "Not marriage, not loyalty, not blood." She stepped closer. "I'm asking for truth. Not a bond by force. Not desire without soul. But a choice. A new kind of throne, shared. Equal." He paused. Then he said the words she didn't expect. "I don't want your throne." Zelara's smile faded. But Riker continued. "Because I've already taken the one thing that matters." She stared at him, confused. Then he added softly, "Your heart?" A long silence followed. Then she laughed. Quiet, honest, the first real laugh she'd had in years. She stepped into his arms, rested her forehead against his. "And you," she whispered, "stole mine the day you didn't kneel." They kissed. No fireworks, no music. Just silence. Just warmth. Not the kiss of passion, the kiss of peace. Zirel changed. Under Zelara's new rule, the cloning labs were sealed forever. The military power was reduced. Alliances were built with neighboring systems. Refugees were welcomed. Broken planets found new hope. Riker became an advisor, not a ruler, not a symbol. He trained a new generation of guardians. No enhancements. No breeding. Just real strength earned the hard way. He never sat on the throne, but his presence was the throne. The people called him the human flame. The children called him the protector. And Zelara, she called him love. But even peace has its shadows. Post-epilogue tease, a cold moon, far away deep under the ice, in a black chamber left untouched since the war. A forgotten pod hissed open, a backup clone, imperfect, unstable, angry, opened, its glowing red eyes. It whispered only 2 words, "Find Riker."